Hello and welcome to Fergie's Gum. My name's Nathan and I'm joined by my good friend Ahmad.
Hi Nathan, how are you?
I'm not too bad. Still pretty furious. 24 hours on from the shellacking that we just got from Bournemouth at Old Trafford. 3-0 defeat. Second time in 2 seasons that Bournemouth have rocked it to Old Trafford and gone home with a comfy 3-0 win. And they deserved it. They absolutely deserved it. It's depressing because you just don't know what you're going to get from this Manchester United side anymore. You go to City, beat them, go to Spurs, have a terrible performance again, and then a home banker, or what you would expect it to be, at Old Trafford against Bournemouth, and you get out-muscled, outplayed, out-strategized. You know, it just becomes the men against boys, the very definition of it. What did you think about the game?
Yeah, I thought it's. I think it's the norm now. I don't think we should expect anything different. Every time we feel that we got a win that should boost us, and we can string a run of performances or results together, we go on and lose. I wouldn't say the silliest of games, but because Bournemouth have been doing really well, but we lose games that we should be winning easily. And yeah, it's been like that for a long time now. A long time. I remember the last time we went on a run that you can actually look at and say that we're in some kind of form. But yeah, it was just very frustrating, very disappointing.
I mentioned this on the last podcast about form, where Andy Mitten from the Talk of the Devils podcast mentioned that for the past 16 games or something, maybe even longer than that, it's been win 2, lose 2, win 2, lose 2. And the next 2 games coming up is Wolves, then Newcastle. So you can imagine we might win those 2. And then it's Arsenal and Liverpool, which, again, you can imagine we lose those 2. But it's just, you just don't know what you're going to get with this team. I know I've literally contradicted myself saying it's going to be 2 wins and 2 losses. But the performance-wise, some of those players out there, they just don't seem to get it at all. Like, their heads go very quickly. As soon as they concede a goal, their heads drop. And you haven't got someone on the pitch that's pulling them forward. You haven't got a Roy Keane figure. You've got Bruno flapping his arms around and pointing at Garnacho because he wasn't in the place where he played the pass, like in the second half. And I just don't think with that type of mentality across the board, you know, this is before Ineos came in, before Amorim came in. I think the standards have just slipped so far that this has just become acceptable now. And some of these guys, some of these players that are there right now are in for the shock of a lifetime because they're not going to stand for it. There's no way. The performances and the sporting side of things have become the main focus of everything right now. And these guys are going to have to buck up or they're going to be shipped out. That's the only solution for this. But I thought Bournemouth, giving their credit where it's due, I thought they did really well to come to United, to come to Old Trafford, and just boss the team. They know they can get at us. Forest did it as well. They know they can get at us just by being more organised. And as soon as you get at some of those players and their heads go, it just makes things so much easier. They don't want it. They don't want it.
Yeah, I think there's a certain template that every team coming to Old Trafford and they just use it, which is just sit deep, at least for the first half or as long as it's needed, and just wait for the counterattack, wait for a set piece. And teams always seem to manage to score first at Old Trafford, and then, like you say, the United players, their heads drop. Becomes very easy to play against us. And you look around the team, looking for someone to pull the team and pull the game by the scruff of its neck, just to do something. But we don't have that. We haven't had that in a long time. So again, I wasn't surprised. I was disappointed because I was hoping that we'd go on a run now, especially after the win last week. And because you look around the table, teams are dropping points, and even if the gap is 6 points, 7 points, 8 points, you always feel that it's doable to close that gap. But you have to start winning games. And with this bunch of players, it just feels that they're only motivated when they're playing against a bigger team, because they know if they win, then they're gonna get the headlights. But when it's against someone like Bournemouth or Forest or someone that should be like a routine win, they always seem to, I don't know, they don't put as much effort. They don't want it as much, and we end up in this exact same place every single time.
There was a great line on Blue Sky from Colin Miller, who said that the Manchester United squad is a mid-table squad that doesn't like the scrutiny, and I think that's a perfect line to assess or give a verdict on this current Manchester United team, because they're simply not good enough. Like it's a mishmash of like promising youth, like fringe players, people that should have left years ago, seasons ago. And none of it, again, you cannot pin one player as like the star of this side, old reliable, you're going to trust this person to pull us through the next few games. It's going to be a difficult run in, but, we've got a Keane type player. We've got like a Carrick that's there to calm things down in the middle of the park. All of these players, they bring something more than just their playing ability. You look around that team and it's like, who's doing this? And I think that's a massive problem for Amorim. And I think he should really consider changing his captain out there as well. I know Bruno was given it he's earned it and he's got it by default, but I just don't think he is the person that this current Manchester United team, he shouldn't be leading them, because he offers nothing in terms of dragging them to another level. In fact, I feel like he's a detriment to that when the chips are down. I feel like his irrational passes, his shooting from anywhere, just some of the decision-making, his gesticulating, it doesn't help. And he's been a great servant for Manchester United. He's been one of our best players for the longest time since he's been at the club. But that type of behaviour does not help, especially when you've got such young players that are playing around you, such raw talent, such new players that have come into the league. Is this the standard? Someone throwing their arms up to me because I misplaced a 5-yard pass. It's not on.
I mean, my friend yesterday watching the game, he told me the only reason they might have given Bruno the captaincy is if he wasn't captain, he would have been booked every single game, because only the captain is allowed to go speak to the referee. If you're not the captain, you'd get booked. So and that's the only reason that would make sense why he was given the captaincy. But like,
it's a good theory. It's a good theory. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, like it made sense. But the other reason is because like I actually look around the team, I don't see anyone else. Even today, I was thinking, okay, if you take off the captaincy from Bruno, I mean, the only one who I would give it to personally is Maguire. To be honest, like he's the only one I would consider giving it, and I think that was a big mistake taking off a mistake and not a mistake taking the captaincy off of Maguire, because it felt like it was affecting his performances, and ever since he was dropped as captain, his performances improved. But you just felt that it made sense why he was captain, why Solskjaer gave him the captaincy. With Bruno, like you say, it's just he doesn't help the people around him sometimes with his attitude.
But I think that was one of the reasons why Maguire was stripped of the captaincy as well, though, wasn't it? It was because Bruno was a mainstay in the squad and he was always fit, so he could always play, which I completely agree with. But then there was also the fact that Harry Maguire didn't command the dressing room in the same way that Bruno did, in terms of the rest of the squad getting on with him. Do you know what I mean? Like, It's not to say that just because Harry Maguire doesn't speak any other languages, it's just they naturally gravitated towards Bruno, was my understanding, which is why he was given the captaincy in the first place. But I think it will never happen this season. They will never strip him of the captaincy this season. But there should be a phase where we are looking. I mean, this should be a process. Next summer or in January, we should be looking to bring someone in that is going to be the future captain of this team. Maybe it could be De Ligt. I don't know. Maybe it could be Yoro in 5 years' time. I don't know. Will these players still be here in 2, 3, 4 years' time? We just don't know that. Well, going back to the game, is there anyone that actually comes out of this with any positives at all?
The only one is probably Ugarte again. I think he was good. He was very good. It feels like he's the one who understands the system and does his job perfectly every single game. Keeping things simple, defending, cutting passing lanes. He just does everything really well. And it also felt that as soon as he came off, the team started to, they started to crumble. We conceded the second goal, the third goal. So, Ugarte was, I think he's the only one who I felt was actually decent. All the others,
I think the issue with Ugarte was he was already on a yellow card from the first half. So I think Amorim was trying to protect him, which, it kind of made sense because they were charging through the midfield and it wasn't Mainoo's best game. Let's just say that and Ugarte was having to do the work of 2-3 players. And I think he was definitely treading that line to get him sent off. But yeah, you're right. For 55 minutes, he was literally our best player. Going back to the negatives of the game, I thought Højlund. In fact, let's do stick with the positives for now. I thought Højlund offered more of a direct threat when he came on. I thought some of his. You're shaking your head. We'll get to it in a second. But the way. So what I mean by that is he was actually taking shots. Okay. Some of them there was one in the second half. Obviously, came on in the second half. There was one in the second half that was going in bottom corner. Kepa pulled off a very, very good save, but it was a really good effort from Højlund. However, just like the other players around him, he started snatching at stuff. He was he was shooting from all over the place. His decision making was really bad. Bruno's was really bad. Garnacho again was really bad. Ahmad was he's been sensational in the recent weeks. His decision making was bad in the final third. And everything just falls apart once we get to that final third. We're always looking for someone to just create magic. We have these 1 or 2 moments where it looks like in the game we was going to get ourselves back into it, but we're just slashing wildly at the ball and sending it into row Z. And there's fine margins within the Premier League, and you have to be putting those away. We cannot be missing as many chances as we did yesterday. But let's go back to Højlund, because as I was saying that about him being a bright spark, I take it you didn't agree with that.
It's just like it feels that our standards are so low because of what we're watching, that the only reason we think Højlund is good or was okay last night was because we were comparing him to Xerxes, who was absolutely abysmal, to be honest. He was unbelievable. You can't have your 2 strikers being that bad. I'm sorry. I don't care if they're young. I don't care if they're still new to the league. I'm not asking them to score 15, 20 goals, which is supposed to be something normal. It's not something very difficult to do. But I'm not asking that. I'm just asking to do something that would benefit the team, benefit the players around you. Just do your job. Hold up the play. Improve your link-up play. Just at least when you're defending set pieces and corners as a 6'5" or whatever tall, big person that he is, at least defend these set pieces, which we saw with Xerxes. I don't know. He's 6'4" and he can't jump 2 inches off the ground. It's just so weird.
Yeah, he doesn't offer an aerial threat at all.
It's so weird.
And going back to that, Huijsen could have had a second goal because Malacia, who again had an absolutely awful game yesterday, he gave away a stupid free kick in the same position on the same blade of grass that he did earlier on. And if they'd have, for some reason, Bournemouth decided to play it short when they could have just played it in and probably got a second goal from it. And it could have been even worse for United yesterday had they actually done that and conceded again. But yeah, like, you're right. It is a comparison. And yes, you are right about the standards. But the standards have slipped across the board. Before Ineos came in, everyone just thought, this is fine. This is how we do it. We still get paid regardless. We'll have a bit of a cup run. We might win a cup. We're not really challenging for the league anymore. And I think the backroom staff, the boardroom, the Glazers, obviously, the leeches of the club, and it's spread down to the players on the pitch. And it's like, this isn't the standard that Manchester United was. The 13th in the league, and we've conceded more goals than we've scored this season. That is shocking. Shocking. And we're still allowing players like Malacia, who has barely played, to take up a position in that first 11. We're still allowing Joshua Zirkzee to play up front when he offers zero. Because we have to. That's how far we've fallen. We have to. Our squad is that poor that this is what we have to do.
I mean, watching the game last night, I was looking, okay, we get to those positions up front. Sometimes we built up play well. For example, Lisandro, he's been awful, just to say it bluntly. He's been awful, but he still offers these line-breaking passes. Maguire did well, Masraoui did well in that regard. So we get to those positions where, for example, Kobe or Ugarte plays the ball into Zirkzee. And it's like he's wearing those, that they're saying that he plays with Timberlands on. Yeah. It's like he's wearing Timberlands and he's playing with Timberlands on. Like every ball, it bounces off of his feet. He can't control the ball. He can't control any long ball. He doesn't offer us like the direct route when we're being pressed and we have to play long. He just offers nothing. Højlund does the same. I'm not going to be convinced otherwise because a lot of people seem to, they get upset when someone criticizes Højlund. They say he's young. Just we have to give him time. He was our top scorer last season. He scored I don't know how many goals this season. This is part of the reason why we're in this mess because, like you say, standards have dropped so low. We don't even know what a good striker is anymore. Like we haven't seen a good striker in a long time that we wouldn't even know what they're supposed to do. You watch other teams. You watch like Bournemouth. You watch Nottingham Forest. You watch any team that plays against us, or if you watch any other Premier League games, you can tell what a good striker is. What we have right now is so far off of that.
Was Cavani our last good striker?
Yeah, that's exactly what I told my club last night. Our last good striker was Cavani. He was amazing, but again, like he was old, couldn't play like 2 games a week. But yeah, he was our last good striker.
In an alternative universe, Harry Kane would have been playing up front with us had the promise of signing him actually materialised for Erik ten Hag. And I think that would have made a hell of a lot of difference. But this is what we've got now. We've got Højlund, we've got Zirkzee. Neither of them are good enough to drag a team into the top 4 because they just don't look like they've got any confidence. And I think you don't have to be harsh, but you can be critical of the players. And yesterday, Højlund, for every good shot that he had on target, he was slicing at it as well. Or he didn't play someone in. There was a great opportunity, I think it was 2-0. There's a great opportunity when I think it was, had Højlund broke free or Ahmad had broke free and Garnacho was to the left of him and he could have just taken it on and he just took on he overplayed the pass. That's what he did. Yeah. Who was that? Who was it? Was it a pass to Ahmad? Was it a pass to Garnacho? I can't remember. It was a 3-on-2 situation and we fluffed it basically. Yeah. So The one thing I did, we'll end this section because obviously it's you know, we're talking about the misery side of things, but one more miserable part of it. Do you feel like the experimental phase is over for Amorim now? Now that he does have to win, I don't think anymore we can say, you know, it's an adjustment period and things like that. I think he's got to grind out wins now.
No, I don't think so. I don't think I can expect wins at all, because that would be very unfair on Amorim. It would be very unfair on Amorim. With those players that he has, I can't expect wins, to be honest. I'm just after last night.
But the thing is, he knew what he was coming into. So he knew there was a squad assessment. I know he's not had time to manage these players, to coach them how he wants, because it's just a game. You know, it's a game every 2-3 days, so it's difficult to do so. But in terms of like not knowing what he was coming into, not knowing the squad and what he's got to work with, he would have come into that and gone, okay, yeah, I can make a difference. Or Ineos and Barada would have gone to him and said, look, this is what we expect this season, whether it is just to lay the foundations. And you can see he has laid the foundations. There is definitely a new way of playing for Manchester United. We just don't have the personnel to do it. But at the same time, at any job interview, you're asked whether or not you can do the thing with the tools that the company has, that the business has. Surely there's got to be a small part of it now that's like, right, performance, or right, wins. However you do it, you've got to win some games.
How though? Like how? I struggle to imagine how. How is he supposed to win?
I don't know.
How is he supposed to win with those players? How is he supposed to win? How is he supposed to do anything with those players? Like we can see the structure he has, but it all comes down to individual mistakes or individual. Like it's like you said, Premier League is about small margins. Last night, the game, it was still, I think it was 0-0, and when Kobe he cut out the pass in the middle of the midfield, and like he passed it to Bruno. That's supposed to go in. That's supposed to go in. We're supposed to be clinical, at least. If that goes in, maybe we're talking about a different game. But I mean, like, what more is he supposed to do? Like, he can't do anything. He can't.
I know. Like, I completely agree. And this isn't on Amorim, and this isn't a critical of him. But surely there is a point where, not through fans, but from his employers, where it's like, right, okay, get some wins. You've got to drag us up the table, because if you're saying that there's no way that they've gone, the season is a write-off, and you know whatever happens, because if you can't get a tune out of these players, we'll get relegated. Simple as that. If we can't get wins together, we're going to get relegated. I'm not saying go to the Emirates, go to the London Stadium and win every game and beat the top 6 convincingly. What I mean is finding a way with this group of players to win games, to win against Newcastle coming up to Old Trafford, to win against Brighton coming there, which is, you know, coming up soon, to win against on Boxing Day against Wolves. Surely there has to be, right, come on now. A performance issue is a performance issue, but you need to make this right.
I get it. I get what you mean, and it will make sense. It will make sense because we actually do need to win desperately. We need to, but the thing is, like, honestly, I can't see us, even if we do win like 3-4 games, I can't see us doing anything this season. I can't see us, like I was saying, like after last night, I'm gonna go into every game expecting nothing, absolutely nothing. Just gonna watch. Okay, like if we win, okay, it's a bonus. If not, then yeah, this is what it is, and just wait for next season. Maybe try to win Europa League. That's the only thing I can hope for this season. Otherwise, I don't think anyone should expect anything going forward because of the players that we have. Even next season, I wouldn't expect anything because any overhaul is going to take a long time.
We're in a really, really tricky situation. Like Amorim is definitely, I believe in Amorim and I'm backing him 100%. As you say, he's not got the players to play this formation, this strategy that he needs, which takes us neatly onto what we're about to discuss in terms of the current squad and how they performed under Amorim. So Amorim has had a handful of games with this Manchester United squad, as we spoke about in the last section, the last chapter. It's not been great. It's been a mixed bag. But what of the players that he's currently used? So we thought it'd be an interesting thing to go through the players that have currently played for him from the squad and kind of assess whether or not they have a future under this new way of thinking, this new strategy moving forward, like just from top to bottom. Who's going to make it? Who do we think is going to make it? And who do we think is going to be sitting in the transfer window probably from January onwards? So let's go then. It's quite an easy one to start with. We've got Bayern Deer.
So, especially after what we saw on Thursday against Spurs, just sad.
I think more than anything with Bayern Deer, he's not going to forge a career at Manchester United. I think Onana is the chief number one, but I would like to see us get someone else that would challenge Onana for that position, because Bayern Deer he ain't that guy. He's had chances before as well, and he's not good enough. He's a good goalkeeper, but he's not good enough, and he proved against Spurs that he's going to be a disaster. So I think it'd be best to move him on. So I think you're right in terms of selling him. Tom Heaton.
Yeah. No, he hasn't played against Andre Amorim.
No.
So, yeah.
Oh, yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I've gone back on my own rules straight away. But I think Tom Heaton's a good player to have around the squad anyway. Yeah. We spoke about this last time, didn't we? Yeah. So as a third choice goalkeeper, it's a brilliant position to be in. I think Lee Grant used to do that. Yeah, and then there's been, other goalkeepers that have sat on benches and not intending to play, but they're good to have around, and they bring confidence to the players around them. So yeah, keep Tom Heaton. Onana.
Keep Onana. He's good. Sometimes he's a bit shaky. Sometimes you feel like his head's gone, but in general, he's good. He's one of the best in the world playing the ball in his feet. And this season, he's kept us in games multiple times. So I would keep
11 clean sheets. I think he's got. Yes.
And he seems like a good character to have around as well.
Yeah, I agree. Onana should be there, but it goes back to my Bayern Deer thing about we need a goalkeeper to challenge him, because it just keeps you on your toes, Like when you've got someone that's competing for that same position, I think it's good to have someone that could come in. Because Onana looks at that and immediately looks at that performance that Bayern Deer put in at Spurs, and obviously he wants him to do well. But when you think of the goals that he conceded, and he was quite weak as well, that just adds more pressure to you as a goalkeeper, because it's like, oh, right, okay, yeah, if I'm out, then yeah, we're going to struggle even further. Moving on to defence, your favourite Iceman, Victor Lindelof.
My favourite, yeah. Sell just as soon as possible, whenever you can. Just sell. He's overstayed his. I don't want to say he's overstayed his welcome, because it's not my house or something. But he's been there way too long. He should have been gone a long time ago.
Okay, just that little line about overstaying his welcome at your house. It just reminded me that, or you just made me aware that I should leave when you start to look a bit edgy next time I come round, mate.
Mm-hmm. No,
sound like you might be pushing me out the door.
No, this the person has to be very annoying for that to happen, and I think Lindelof is that. So,
I think with Lindelof, he's been a good servant to the club. He was obviously touted as like a replacement for a long-term replacement for the like Vidic and Ferdinand, striking up a partnership with, who's he played there with? He's played there with Smalling. He's played there with Maguire.
Maguire was the most. I think his partnership with Maguire in 2021.
Yeah,
it was okay. It was fine. I think that was his best time as a United player, but still, he wasn't good enough. It doesn't have physical attributes to be a Premier League defender. I don't think so.
But in terms of the amount of time that he's played, which is then going back to the whole reason for this section, he hasn't really played for Amorim yet, has he? He's played one game and got injured, which is never a great sign. But do you think there needs to be more of a measure, or do you think is enough that he should play this season?
No, I think there are certain players that you don't need to watch under Amorim to know if they have to leave or not. And I think he's one of them.
Perfect. Mazraoui, who I thought had a stinker yesterday, but he wasn't alone in that.
No, he had a stinker. I don't know what he was thinking, to be honest, for the penalty. It's like the
Crazy.
They call it like the bozo gene. It spreads to every single player that comes into the team.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think. Well, for sure. Like I would keep him. He's
he
one
stays,
of our.
right?
Yeah, just. He's been one of our best players.
I feel with Mazraoui that he would benefit from someone good on the left back position, so that he's so that he can just concentrate on what he's doing down the right hand side, rather than worrying about, am I going to be taken into right centre back? Am I going to have to move over to left back because Darrow's had an absolute shocker again? And again, it just helps when you've got that consistency on both flanks, because everyone knows what they're doing. But yeah, Mazraoui, without a doubt, you've got to keep him.
Keep. Again, I think last night it showed how important he's been for the team ever since he's come in. He's been ill at the past 2 games. But yeah, when he plays, you feel he gives confidence to the defense. I think he's one of those who knows how to direct players around him. And he's actually a very, very good defender. So, yeah, definitely keep.
And he gets the Amorim system as well. I feel like he knows what he has to do. One thing, and we'll get onto him in a second. In fact, let's just talk about Harry Maguire right now, because he's the next one on the list. The one thing I do like about Maguire, and I would keep Maguire, by the way, I know there was talk recently, or rumours recently, that he's potentially going to sign a pre-contract with some teams in Europe. Napoli was mentioned as well, which would mean that he can do that in January, so in a couple of weeks, and then he might leave at the end of the season. Great for getting money off the books, but I feel like we'd lose a big character on the pitch. But I love the fact that, because Amorim, what he wants, and from what I've seen of his teams play, he wants those centre-backs to not just pass it quickly, but, when the opportunity arises, bring the ball out. De Ligt does that sometimes as well. And I think Maguire is very good at stepping out. And he did quite a bit of that yesterday. Obviously, it was to naught because we got drummed, but I thought he played okay. And I would, if I had a choice for someone to fit into this Amorim system, I think Harry Maguire is a good backup to have.
For sure. Like you said, he's a very good character to have around, and the fact that he just dug his heels, kept his head down with everything that was going on with him for the past 3-4 seasons, and he came out of it. And I think a lot of people agree that he would be one of the best players to play under Amorim. Yeah, I think you definitely keep someone like that, and you need a bit of experience to keep around the team. And he's getting to that prime age, not too old and not young. So yeah, I think he's good to have. So I would keep him definitely.
This could prove to be a slightly controversial one, but Lisandro Martinez.
I would keep Lisandro Martinez only if he does not start every single game. If he's not your starting centre back, so if you keep him around for like backup, then he would be good. But like to depend on him to go, if you want to go for the league, go for the big titles, I don't think you can do that with him in the team, unfortunately. Even though I love Lisandro, but yeah, I think we've seen that for the past 2 seasons.
But that's the thing. Like we're talking about when we talk about keeping him, we kind of remember the good days, the Butcher. When he was playing under Ten Hag, and he was quick, and he was clever, and he knew what to do to get into certain positions and to put out attacks when they descended on him. But under Amorim, he has looked a shadow of his former self, and I'm not convinced that he is going to be the right player to have as your starting left centre back. And as you say, if there was someone else that could go there, that could play there, like Luke Shaw, again, we'll get onto him shortly. But I personally don't think Martinez can be relied on at all at the moment. And I think he's feeling frustrated with what's going on around him. Again, it all goes down to the foundations of the club. But under Amorim, he's not been great. And I feel he's one of those players that could be on shaky ground come January. No, not January. Come the summer. He might be one of those players that does get moved on.
Yeah, I mean, if you get an offer for about like 50 million plus, then I think it wouldn't be the worst idea to move him on and invest it somewhere else. But I still think he's one of those players that you can he's good to have around the club with his character, and he's one of the best in the league with the ball in his feet, like with his passes. So I think he's very beneficial for the team. So I would keep him personally.
I think the next player that we're about to talk about has played almost as many games for Amorim as he did for his previous gaffer in 2 years. Terrell Malacia, he's had, I would say, a great story arc to come back from the injury that he had, and it's great to see him out on the pitch. But the microcosm of that game yesterday just said everything about him. He's rusty. I don't think he's quite up to the pace of the Premier League, and I don't know if he'd ever get back to that. I would love him to get back to that, but in terms of what he offers this system, I don't think he's the man that we need, and I would be looking to offload him in the summer.
Yeah, me too. I agree. I think the injuries that he had, they took their toll on him, and yeah, I think it feels like he should drop a level, play for like a smaller club or like in another league, a slower league, less physical. He can still build up his career, but yeah, especially like you said, under Amorim, left back, he has to have certain attributes, and I don't think he has them. And last night, yeah, he was awful again. So yeah, I wouldn't.
Yeah. It's sad to see. Lenny Yoro is untouchable in my mind, so I'm just going to skip him straight away.
I agree.
Your favorite Portuguese winger or right back, Diogo Dalot.
Honestly, I'm just, I hope I wake up one of those days and just open X or whatever and find like Madrid offered 50 million or like 40 million or anything just for him to go. I can't wait for that day.
The problem is that their scouts have eyes though, mate. So they're not going to offer 50 million for him.
That's what I'm telling you. Like, I'm just hoping. I know it's not going to happen. But like, he's one of those he's part of the issue that we have at the club. He's part of the issue. Players thinking they're better than what they are, and Faz accepting those standards. And yeah, he's so bad. Even I'm sorry to say, I hate saying that, but like last night, it was so bad.
He had a good season last season, but he's not to be relied upon. Like, this is the standards dropping. That someone like Dalot can get into this team, and he's been a consistent starter. He's been ever present. But under Amorim, he showed that he gets into those positions. I've talked to you about this many times before on different episodes. He can get into those positions, but once he gets there, his end product is woeful. And you cannot have someone that just gets into those positions and doesn't do anything with it. I could probably do that.
Yeah, I mean, what's the point? The only thing that goes well for him is the fact that he's fit and he doesn't get injured that much, which is something like we can't say about a lot of our players. Other than that, he doesn't have it. Like, it just doesn't. Some people have it, some people don't. He's one of those that don't, and it's fine. That's okay. Just move him on and like just find a replacement. It's not that difficult.
Yeah. Well, we've had replacements at the club and then got rid of them, like Alvaro Fernandez, but no, we decided to send the wrong person out. Luke Shaw is kind of a difficult one because he's played 0 minutes under Amorim. But he has?
Yeah, he played a few games. I mean, I get why you don't remember. Yeah, I played as left centre back a few times.
Okay. Whatever it is that you're moving around on your desk, can you just keep it still?
It's just download.
It's just the download just brings out the madness. Okay, we'll start with Luke Shaw again. So you've just surprised me by saying that Luke Shaw has actually played some games for Amorim, whereas I can't even think of a single one that he's played. But when he's fit, I think Luke Shaw could be the right person for that left-back position. But I just don't think he's going to be... You're not going to be able to rely on him. I would keep him, by the way. I just don't think you're going to be able to rely on him. You need another left-back that isn't Malacia that can compete with him down that left flank. And it has to be someone that is a natural left-back, not Lisandro Martinez filling in, not Diogo Dalot filling in, not Mazraoui filling in. It has to be a left-back that's going to be probably your first choice.
Yeah.
So I think it's difficult. It's difficult to rate him. Johnny Evans is a shoe-in. I'd keep him. And Harry Amas, there's not enough data on him to even compare him to anyone else. So moving on to midfielders, and it's the forever injured Mason Mount that comes up first. Out till March.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I would move him on if possible. It's, to be honest, like even on Luke Shaw, personally, I would move Luke Shaw on as well. Even though, in my opinion, on his day, he's probably top 3 left backs in the world. But what does the saying say? It's like the availability is the best ability, or something like that. So
it's a new one on me, mate. But yeah, I'll take it.
I made it up. It makes sense. I mean, but like Mason Mount and Luke Shaw, they're in the same boat. They keep getting injured, and I think we've seen with a lot of players that we've done the same mistake. We kept them on for way too long, hoping that they would get over their injury issues, and then we end up like 2 or 3 seasons later saying, okay, like there was no point of this. So it would be wiser to just cut our losses.
The important part is because we're talking about Amorim's system and whether or not they fit into it. That position that Mason Mount plays is so important to the press that if you cannot rely on that person to be fit week in, week out, then you have to replace them, because you can't go into those games. I mean, he's not trying to get injured, obviously, but he's at this point, his legs are made of like sellotape and dreams. And that's the only thing that's keeping him going, because he's so fragile. But you can't have that person. You can't have Mason Mount being the key trigger point for when you go forward. He has to be replaced. And yeah, you're right. And I think he probably should be moved on, because that injury record just isn't good enough. I know it's a shame, but it's not good enough. It's not good enough, unfortunately. Bruno.
I would keep Bruno. I can't get myself to say Bruno should be sold.
I'll say it for you. I think he should be sold. Because I feel like under the Amorim system, I don't think he fits into it. And I know this might sound controversial, because like I've been his biggest fan. I was devastated when I heard that he was potentially going to leave at the end of last season. Like, I love Bruno. He's great. He's been a great servant for United. As I said before, he's been banging in goals, assists all over the place. Great player for United. But I just don't feel like this next phase or this new era of Manchester United, I just don't feel like he's offering anything to it. And as soon as you start to wane and you have aspirations to win all the competitions that you're in, I think it's time to move you on. And I think that's the right time to move Bruno on is probably this summer.
Yeah. I completely see where you're coming from with that. And you made a good point that in this Amorim system, like there is not one position that it's just made for him. Like he can play in the center midfield. He's okay, but he's not the best there. Or he can play in one of those number 10s. He's okay, but also like he can't depend on him going forward. So yeah, maybe if you can get a fee for him, like a good fee for him, maybe you go for it. But yeah, like it wouldn't be easy.
I think this is one of the things as well. You touched on a good point there. Like a lot of the players in this squad, especially in this new system that we're playing, are square pegs for round holes. And because you've got Bruno that has been fantastic in that just behind the striker's position, he's been great over the last few years, but that position kind of doesn't exist anymore. And it was basically it's the position that all 11-a-side players or lazy 11-a-side players like me love to play, because you don't really run back. You just stay forward in the hole and shoot from wherever or pass from wherever. Well, that doesn't really exist anymore, and everyone has to play their part, which is why a lot of these players, listeners might be listening to this and being like, how can you say to get rid of Bruno? I'm not saying that he's a bad player. I'm saying that he doesn't fit into the system so far, and I can't see it changing. So that would be my response to that. Moving on, I think this was probably, let's lump them together. Christian Eriksen and Casemiro.
Yeah, move them on if you can. I think, Eriksen's contract ends in the summer, so he's moving on for sure. Casemiro... Yeah, Casemiro hasn't even been coming on off the bench for the past few games. I don't know why. Like ever since the Pilsen game, we haven't seen him. So I think it's obvious that he's not an Amorim system. Yeah,
and I think Amorim has kind of given us the answer to whether or not they fit the system himself without actually saying it. The lack of game time that they've played under him so far, and as you say, they've been dropped from the squads. Or played bit parts in squads recently. So, yeah, I think it's right for everyone to move them on. We just need to freshen that midfield up, I feel. Ugarte is another untouchable for me. Kobe Mainu is another untouchable for me. Collier and Dan Gore, not enough information or data on either of those, so it would be unfair to judge them. However, I do like both of those players, and I would like to see them crack the first team at some point.
Actually, Collier, I think he would do well. I'm looking forward to seeing him because he's been injured for a long time now. So I think he would do well, and because I think if Ugarte can't play every single game, I think Collier could come in. I think I read that he had the best running stats in the whole club after Bruno. I think that would be perfect for Amorim, and he keeps things simple. Yeah. So yeah, maybe he's gonna be a surprise player for the rest of the season.
Yeah, he could feature against Wolves, which we'll get onto soon. But before that, we've got the strikers to talk about. So Højlund.
Yeah, if you can sell him, sell him.
Do you not think he fits the system then? Or do you think it's a lack of confidence, or do you just think he doesn't fit a system?
Honestly, I'm fed up with our strikers not being able to score goals, or I'm just fed up with it. So yeah, I want us to go for a striker that would guarantee you 20, 30 goals a season. I know Højlund can come good. Okay. He might come good next season or something, and I would look as if I was hating on him now. But I'm just not. I love Højlund, and I was very excited when we got him in. But growing up watching Rooney, of course I'm not going to compare, but growing up watching Rooney, Van Persie, Cristiano, Tevez, Welbeck, Chicharito, I don't know, Van Nistelrooy, I haven't really watched, but I've seen a lot of him. So, I mean, you just can't look at Højlund and say, it's fine, yeah, we can just keep him on. You can't. You just can't. It doesn't sit well with me. So I would move him on.
Okay. See, I'd keep him because I do think he could be the player that we need. But I think there's so much chaos going on around him and from the flanks and from the decision making from midfield as well. I just don't think he's getting any real surface into the areas where he can be effective. Because when we think about Højlund, we think about him wrestling with defenders and getting bossed. Or we think about him like, just not being in the 6-yard box where we need him to be, but then the cross doesn't come in anyway, or it hits the first man. But there's something about Højlund that even in this Amorim system and even in the early days of it, I feel like he does offer something. He offers more than whatever we've got going on right now, which doesn't say a lot. His standards have dropped, but he would be a great player to bring off the bench. And we've always had, historically, we've always had a wealth of talent going forward. We've always had really good strikers. When it was the Solskjaer, Sheringham, York and Cole era, or whether it was the Tevez, Rooney and Ronaldo, they all played with each other. Yeah, and Berbatov, and even Park, he used to pop up on the wing during that era. They all had a confidence about them. But the issue that you brought up there is that we just don't have that to fall back on right now. It's just they're useless up front, or it feels like they are. So speaking of someone that is quite literally has been useless for the past couple of games, which is a beautiful segue, we're on to Marcus Rashford, who again, it seems like Amorim has already said what needs to be said after being dropped for Bournemouth, Spurs and City.
Yeah, I think it's obvious that he's going to be moved on. I think this is the only way either the club or the manager can go about it, just dropping him. And whenever he's asked about it, he just says selection. But it's obvious that it's over between Rashford and the club.
Slightly going off topic here, well, in terms of what we're supposed to be talking about, is he a good fit for Amorim's system? I do feel like there needs to be some sort of closure on this. And the one big thing that Ineos have done well, or have done quickly, is when there has been bad news, they brought it to light quite quickly. So sacking Dan Ashworth, saying that they're looking for other managers, or they're talking to other managers in summer. Sacking Ten Hag, getting rid of the backroom staff like Van der Sar and everyone else. I feel like that type of very, very shocking but direct information is what we need with Rashford. Because Amorim is going to be asked the same question every single game, every single press conference, every single post-match press conference. It's going to get asked the same thing over and over again. If Manchester United have decided to sell him, then they need to come out and say something, or negotiate, get the deal done, and then just he's gone. That's it. But we can't keep having this same thing with Amorim talking about Rashford, because it's become a massive distraction now.
Yeah, but I think it's a bit of it's a weird situation, because like you said, they're probably negotiating. He's probably negotiating, I would imagine. And like you say, if the club comes out and says, okay, so we're just going to sell him, it would just drop his value.
Well, he's already done that by saying that he wants to leave, and all of the without going direct to the press, Amorim saying yes, he's in the transfer window. We already know that he is. He's been dropped, so it's clear. There's no disciplinary. I'm sure that's a lie, because I'm sure this interview hasn't gone down well. And whether it's a written one or you've been fined for it, it doesn't matter. Disciplinaries go through certain stages. So I imagine they're not happy with him because of a lack of discipline. Then I just think they've got to come out and say something. It doesn't matter if you're saying that he's going to leave in January. Right, let him leave in January. Doesn't mean you have to get your pants pulled down by the buying clubs. You can still keep a certain level of professionalism with these buying clubs to try and get rid of him. Well, again, we talked about this before we even came on air. I'm bored of it now.
Yeah,
I'm bored of it. If he's going, he's going. Xerxes.
Yeah, sell. Just the same, exactly like what I was saying about Højlund. Even though, again, I like Xerxes, I think he could do well at the club. If the club was more stable, the same applies to Ireland. If the club was more stable and they had better players around them, it could have been a different story. But we're in a position that, okay, if we want to accelerate the process in like 2-3 years, then it would be smart to bring someone in who can actually guarantee you 20-30 goals a season. Xerxes can't do that. I don't think he's the kind of striker to score you 20 goals a season anyways. But yeah, I would move him on. Yeah.
I think one of the big issues with Xerxes as well is, again, going back to this, the whole theme of this section, he's not the striker that Amorim would ever really go for. I think he's given him chances to try and prove himself, but he doesn't crash the box. He's not strong enough. He can't run with the ball. When you look at Gyökeres and the way that he was, he was able to really, really attack defenders. And Xerxes doesn't do that. He sits. He's very passive. Even on that set piece, that Huijsen scored yesterday. So passive. You kind of want to get some sort of reaction out of him, get some anger out of him, show something. But I just don't think he has that aggression. I think he's a very casual, laid-back person that doesn't really fight in that way. And it's not his fault that he's in this situation. But I think there comes a time when he's arrived at the club, when all the management has changed, his role has changed. And yeah, you're right, he doesn't fit this system. So if you could get some money back, even in January, mate, if you could get some money back on Xerxes, then I'd be shipping him out. Ahmad is probably another untouchable.
Yep, for sure.
Unlike Garnacho, though, because I'm not sure how he is doing under Amorim, whether he still wants to be at United. I can't tell. He's an enigma. I don't know what's going on with him at the moment.
Yeah, with Garnacho, I think I really like Garnacho. I think he has a lot to offer, but I think, again, in this system, it's just not for him. It's not for him. I think he's better off going to another club where he can play in a position that suits him more, and that he can feel that the club, just appreciates him more. Maybe that's what he needs. He seems like the kind of player that wants the love all the time. And yeah, he gets affected easily when things aren't going well. So I think maybe moving him on, it would be smart for the club as well, because you'd get pure profit, because he's an academy product. I would be disappointed to see him leave, but from the signs that we've been seeing under Amorim so far, I don't think he's been doing well, to be honest.
No, me neither. And it would be a weird one to see him leave. I would like to see. I would keep him, but I could see the reasons why you might get rid of him. I think he gets the idea of this system, and I think he's going to take a little bit more time to really develop. But I think that flank, the left or right, I really do think he could do some damage once he gets the idea in his head about what it is that Amorim wants him to do. And, be fearless, go at them, do what you need to do, but make sure that you've got that end product as well. And I think that's, it's fair to say something like that to him. He's still young, he can still learn those things. But in terms of the mentality of him, and in terms of leaving to go to a club that, where he's almost like the big fish in a small pond, like you were kind of saying then. He reminds me a little bit of Adnan Januzaj in that aspect. Came with a lot of promise, very good down the wings when he was playing, but just something didn't click. And we let him go. He went to Real Sociedad. He had a decent career. I think is he still at Sociedad? Is he left? Maybe he's
at Las Palmas. No.
Is he? Okay. But yeah, Garnacho reminds me of that, and that's.
I get it.
He could go to Spain. He could go to Spain and have a really good career.
I think he would do well for Atletico, to be honest. I think he would do well. Like, we got him from Atletico. I think he would. He is a hard worker. Like, if you ask him to run, he would run. He's not the kind that wouldn't track back. So I think under Simeone, I think he would do really well. I don't think it would be the worst idea for him, to be honest. Well, again,
I would keep him though.
Yeah, like, it would be sad to see him leave. But for the purely because like I think like the PSR rules, they're holding us back, and we need anything just to help us with that. So yeah.
As much as he is mentally checked out, I couldn't take a Marcus Rashford and Garnacho leaving in the same summer. That'd break me.
Attached though? Like,
it makes me sad because I've cheered these kids since they broke onto the scene, and you know it makes me sad. I often go back and watch that Marcus Rashford first interview that he did alongside like Michael Carrick, and how happy he was and how raw it was, and I posted it on Blue Sky before, but yeah, it would just make me sad. But a person that wouldn't make me sad to see the back of is Anthony, who comes up next, which I in terms of the Amorim system, I don't think he's good enough to play right back, because you're going to have Mazraoui there. And like I said before, you need someone that can play right back to give him competition to play right back. Ahmad can do a job there at wing back as well, which is fine. But I don't think Anthony has a place. It's been his cards have been marked for the longest of times.
Yeah.
It's time to try and cash in on him if you can get 20 million for him from a Ligue 1 club, off your pop, lad.
I get it, but like that's part of the reason why, for example, last night I felt that we weren't attacking as well, was because I feel like we were hamstrung when we have 5 defenders on the pitch. Like, if you play Mazraoui and Delo on the wing and the wing back roles, then you feel like going forward we don't have much to offer. I think if you play Anthony there, even though he's not the best defensively, but going forward he would give you something. Or you play Ahmad there, but like you have to have someone to play in the number 10. I'm not saying like I would keep him, but I'm saying I still
Sounds
think
a little bit like you're saying that.
No way. Then okay, just forget everything I said. I'm just making a point.
Right. No, it's good. It's a good point. I understand it. I get it about the attacking threat, but we need a right back. Square peg, round hole again. Ethan Wheatley, has he played any minutes under Amorim?
No.
Unfair to judge him, but I'd love to see him come in. And then there's the greyed out Jadon Sancho that's still on the Manchester United website. But he ain't coming back. He's gone. Yeah. Okay, Boxing Day game, the big one at Molineux. Manchester United take on Wolves. Yeah, and they've been awful. But they've got a new manager back. They've got Vitor Pereira that's just joined the club, and they smashed up Ruud van Nistelrooy's Leicester at the King Power Stadium as well yesterday. 3-0. So obviously they're going to smash Manchester United, because that's what happens, right?
Yeah, I mean, no one would be surprised. It's their first game under the new manager and the Molineux. So yeah, and to be honest, like if you look at their players and our players, there's a big difference. Even though they're like relegation required.
In terms of physicality, is that what you mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, well, I mean, I still have to believe that we can do something at Molineux, and this is the game where I think that the pretense is done, and Amorim is going to start his best 11, and this will be the best 11 that will be the consistent best 11 for the rest of the season moving forward. I think there'll be tweaks here and there, and obviously people will have to come in and come out of the squad. But I think Saturday, after that defeat to Bournemouth, when is it? Is it Wednesday? Wednesday's the game, right?
Thursday.
No, Wednesday's Christmas Day. Thursday.
Well,
I think after the game against Bournemouth, I don't think he can leave anything to chance. It goes back to what I was saying earlier on about him needing to get a win in the best way possible. So now he's probably going to have to play his best 11 and say to the upper echelons of Manchester United, yeah, here's the team. And we won 1-0 or 2-0, whatever it is. But I can't see him experimenting anymore.
I mean, I don't think he's been experimenting. It's just like
How do you
literally.
explain Xerxes then? How do you explain Xerxes going into that team?
I explain Xerxes by showing the Hoyland against Spurs. As simple as that. Hoyland was up against Archie Gray and Dragusin, who are like, I don't know, I would say Dragusin is one of the worst defenders in the league, unfortunately, for Spurs. And Archie Gray isn't a defender. He's an 18-year-old midfielder turned centre-back. And Hoyland did nothing. At least Xerxes came on and he scored. So that was the reason Xerxes started. But even though Xerxes is still not good enough. But yeah, I don't think he's experimenting. He just doesn't have anything else to do, to be honest.
I get it. But a lot of his teams. I mean, Eriksen started midweek, didn't he? Against Spurs. Like, that's what I mean about like the experimentation. About like letting. It's not experimentation. He's letting the fringe players try to prove their worth. Is what I think. Well, I if you look at that game on Sunday against Bournemouth, there were certain players in that squad that you'd be like, you're not going to play the next game. Like, you can't. You're just not going. You're not going to be in there. I think Davo might be one of the casualties of that, and I think Malacia might be one of the casualties of that. I also think. I don't know if he'll play Kobbie Mainoo. I think he might go back with Casemiro or Eriksen for that game, because I don't think he saw anything amazing, and he probably thought, like a lot of us watching the game, it might have been a game too soon for Kobbie to come back into, and he needs a bit more match fitness to get back up to speed again. But I think he's going to go with, it's like what Ten Hag tried to do. All managers, when they go through this period with Manchester United, they go with the trusted stars that they know can grind out a win. And Casemiro has that type of experience. I can see him slotting back into midfield with Ugarte for this game.
I think Ugarte needs a rest, to be honest. I don't think it would be fair on Ugarte playing him all these minutes, and especially for a player like Ugarte who keeps on running and he has to cover every single blade of grass. So I think maybe you would rest Ugarte, play Casemiro, and bring back Bruno into midfield. Maybe start Garnacho. So yeah, that's why I think this way. Yeah, your point of saying that he's been experimenting, but I think if he does that, then he's doing that out of necessity. So yeah, I think that he would be doing that for that reason.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not saying that he's doing it just to have a laugh. It is out of necessity and to check the players in the squad. But I do think, like, especially with Xerxes, it's like, right, okay, can you get a few goals there? No. Right, okay. Hoyland, can you get a few goals there? No. Right, okay. I'm going to have to go back to the other one option that I have off the bench. And with that being said, and with the experimentation being the theme of this bit, maybe he could freshen it up with some of the youth players that we talked about just then. Maybe there is a case to be had that says these younger players that have probably been playing with the under-21s and under-18s, does he freshen it up over the next few games and bring a few of these players in? I know Collier was on the bench for this game against Bournemouth. Maybe he does look to the youth to bring some sort of fresh impetus into it.
Yeah, maybe, but I mean,
not starters from the bench. I mean, from the bench.
I don't know, like the only position like that's in my head is one of those three attacking positions that you need someone to come in to offer something different. Like with the youth that we have right now, with the under 21s, under 23s, we have Chido, we have Biancheri has been doing really well. I think those two are the main ones for now. But it's still like it would be unfair on them. Yeah, you would bring them off the bench, but Wolves away, especially against the way how their players are. And to be honest, yeah, like talking like now that I mentioned Wolves, looking at their team, thinking of their players, there are probably like 2 or 3 players from the Wolves team that would slot right into the United team, which is saying something, because Wolves are they're like 18th or 19th in the league, which is unfortunate. And there are a few players that are going to cause us issues on Thursday.
Cunha being one of them, right? I know you're a big fan of him.
I love Cunha. He's if you want to get someone to actually provide, like, offer something immediately in the team, you definitely would go for Cunha. Do everything you can to buy Cunha. He's amazing. He's amazing. He scored again yesterday.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and then tweeted that he was getting his FPL managers some points. So he's very aware of how much of a big asset he is in FPL. Speaking of FPL, who would be your FPL pick from Manchester United for this game?
Man, but honestly,
just a shake of the head. No. I'd go with because I always go with differentials. I'd go with Garnacho for this game.
Interesting.
I think that would be. I think he's probably going to start. I don't think Rashford's coming back in anytime soon. I think Garnacho will probably start, and I could see him maybe getting an assist, or maybe getting an assist via a penalty, having finally grasped the game by the scruff of its neck and charged into the box to get brought down. That's all I'm hoping for. A 1-0 squeaky victory. That's all I'm hoping for. I'll take it.
Yeah.
I can't see it.
What's your prediction then?
I think we'll lose, and I think it'll be convincing, unfortunately. I think it'll be like 2-0, and I think it'll be a convincing 2-0, where we're lucky to come away with not conceding more.
Yeah. I'm going to go for... Let's go for 1-1.
1-1. I'll take a draw. I'll take a draw against 18th placed Wolves.
That's nothing, to be honest. Like, a draw does nothing for us.
No, I know. But yeah, we'll see how that goes then in a couple of days' time. Well, that was quite it was quite nice to get a lot of sadness off our chests there. I do believe, talking about Bournemouth, talking about how the things moving forward. Quite a glum podcast, but I do feel like it's therapeutic as well. All of this could change again if they manage to get a victory at the weekend and midweek. I keep forgetting the Christmas period, just because there's so many fixtures that just happen on random days. Thursday afternoon. All right, okay, fair enough. But yeah, it's we could get a victory on Thursday, and all of this could be forgotten about. But I do think it's good to kind of note the negatives and the ways that we could kind of move forward with this squad and what Amorim needs to do, because I'm sure he listens. But thanks for listening again, and we will speak to you again after the Newcastle game.